For years, drivers have argued that thicker oil means better protection, and the first seconds after startup tell a different story. One manufacturer-backed viscosity can reach critical engine parts 2.5 seconds faster, cutting early wear by up to 40%. But does chasing lab numbers actually guarantee real-world engine life? This comparison is about to challenge everything you have heard about choosing the right oil, and the stakes could mean the difference between a costly rebuild and making it to 300,000 miles. Every modern engine built after 2010 faces a simple but high-stakes challenge the moment you turn the key: getting oil from the sump to the most vulnerable moving parts before metal meets metal. The oil's viscosity rating, those numbers stamped on every jug, directly shapes how fast this protection arrives. The first number, like the 0 in 0W-20, measures how easily oil flows in cold conditions. At minus 35 degrees Celsius, 0W-20 still pumps freely, while 5W-30 starts to thicken up by minus 30 degrees Celsius. That difference is not just academic. In a real engine, 0W-20 can reach upper cam bearings and the tiny passages in variable valve timing systems, known as VVT systems, up to 2.5 seconds faster than heavier grades. For components with clearances as tight as 0.007 inches, half the width found in engines from the 1980s, that speed matters. Federal fuel economy rules called Corporate Average Fuel Economy, or CAFE standards, nudged automakers to specify thinner oils like 0W-20. The payoff was a measurable drop in friction, up to 18% less than with older 5W-30 blends. But efficiency gains are only half the story. Cold starts account for the majority of engine wear, with as much as 75% of long-term damage happening in those first seconds after sitting overnight. Oil drains back to the pan, leaving only a film behind. Until the pump builds pressure and pushes oil through the galleries, parts like cam lobes and VVT solenoids run dry. That is where the physics of viscosity comes into play. Thinner oil flows with less resistance, filling tight passages and forming a protective film before friction can do its worst. Additives like ZDDP, designed to fight wear, only become fully active above 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Below that, their chemistry cannot keep up, making rapid oil delivery even more essential. In engines with start-stop systems or frequent short trips, this cycle repeats dozens of times a week. A thicker oil can slow this process, raising the risk of fault codes in sensitive systems or even triggering limp mode in worst-case scenarios. The technical minimums, 2.6 centipoise for 0W-20 and 2.9 centipoise for 5W-30, reflect just how fine the balance is between flow and protection. In the real world, the difference between a healthy engine at 200,000 miles and one with noisy valvetrain wear often starts with what happens in those first few seconds after every cold start. Direct comparison testing between 0W-20 and 5W-30 puts the trade-offs into sharp relief. On the dyno and in the field, 0W-20 consistently delivers a small but measurable boost in fuel efficiency, about 0.7 miles per gallon, more than 5W-30 in mixed city and highway driving. That is the kind of gain automakers chase to meet federal standards, and it adds up over thousands of miles. Efficiency matters, but with that efficiency comes a cost. Oil temperatures run 8 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit higher on average with 0W-20, and in real-world stop-and-go traffic, those extra degrees can accelerate viscosity breakdown. Lab analysis shows 0W-20 loses up to 13% of its viscosity by 7,500 miles, especially in engines with direct injection or frequent short trips. Viscosity loss is the real risk. Switching to 5W-30, the numbers tell a different story. The heavier grade holds its viscosity better under stress, with less than 5% loss over the same interval. Used oil analysis reveals a 35 to 40% drop in wear metals, iron, copper, and lead compared to 0W-20, especially in engines that see regular highway speeds or hotter climates. The trade-off is a slight dip in fuel economy, typically around 0.3 miles per gallon, and a marginally slower cold start flow. For most drivers, that is a barely noticeable difference in day-to-day use, but it means the oil film stays thicker at operating temperature, offering better protection during high-load events. Master technicians reviewing these results tend to agree. For engines designed around 0W-20, the thin oil meets the spec for cold flow and efficiency, but 5W-30 often leaves internals cleaner over time, especially in vehicles with higher mileage or those driven in warmer regions. The real-world numbers back up the lab findings. Fuel savings with 0W-20 are real, but so is the increased rate of viscosity loss and wear. For owners aiming at 300,000 miles, the decision is not just about what is printed on the jug, but about matching oil performance to how and where the car is actually driven. Turbocharged engines push oil to its limits. Bearings inside a turbo can reach over 400 degrees Fahrenheit, while the shaft spins faster than a dentist's drill, up to 200,000 revolutions per minute. At those speeds and temperatures, oil isn't just a lubricant. It is the only thing standing between a healthy turbo and a seized $1,000 paperweight. If oil loses viscosity or breaks down, it can't keep a protective film between metal parts. That's when coking starts. Burned oil turns into hard carbon deposits, plugging tiny oil passages and starving the bearings. Toyota's research shows coking begins at just 180 degrees Celsius, a temperature turbo housings hit every time you shut down after a highway run. 5 seconds without oil flow at these temperatures causes the same damage as 5 minutes of starvation elsewhere in the engine. Once deposits form, the turbo's fate is sealed. Industry teardown studies trace a large share of turbo failures back to oil degradation and coking, especially when cheaper conventional oils or thin grades lose their grip in the heat. While the exact percentage is debated, the risk is real and expensive. This is where 5W-40 synthetic oil stands out. Its high-temperature, high-shear value, a minimum of 3.5 centipoise, means it keeps a thick, stable film even as the turbo housing glows. In lab simulations, full synthetic 5W-40 loses less than 2% of its viscosity under extreme heat, compared to as much as 30% for 0W-20. Master technicians who have rebuilt dozens of turbos point to 5W-40 as the specialist's choice for track days, towing, or any engine that spends real time under boost. When the margin between survival and failure is measured in seconds, the right oil makes all the difference. Lab results from thousands of real-world engines strip away the marketing hype and internet arguments. When Blackstone Labs examined over 5,000 used oil samples from Subaru turbo engines, the numbers told a clear story. The difference in iron wear between top synthetic brands was only half a part per million per 1,000 miles. Shell Rotella 5W-40 posted 2.03 parts per million. Amsoil 5W-30 came in at 2.09 parts per million. Mobil 1 5W-30 came in at 2.56 parts per million. That is a spread so small it is nearly invisible in practice. Whether the oil cost $12 or $40, as long as it carried the right API or LSAC certification, wear protection was essentially the same. Brand loyalty in this context is just noise. But the chemistry beneath the label matters more than most realize. Modern turbocharged direct injection engines face a threat called low-speed pre-ignition, LSPI. This is not a slow creeping problem. It is an instant spike of over 200 bar of pressure that can crack a piston in a single event. The culprit is outdated oil formulas loaded with calcium detergents, a legacy of blends from before 2017. To counter this, API-SP and ILSA-C GF6 standards forced a shift, reducing calcium and boosting magnesium. Oils that do not meet these specs leave engines exposed to catastrophic damage, especially under low RPM, high load conditions like merging or climbing a grade. The data and the chemistry converge on one point. Specification compliance is non-negotiable. The label's certification stamp matters more than the brand or the price tag. For anyone chasing long-term reliability, it is not about boutique oils or internet favorites. It is about using the oil your engine was built to handle, with the chemistry to back it up. Every engine built in the last decade relies on oil engineered for its unique tolerances, not tradition or myth. As emissions rules tighten and performance demands rise, following the spec is not just a suggestion, it is survival. The right oil today means your engines tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts below.